Hello, everyone. I'm Kevin McKinnon, the editor of Triathlon Magazine Canada, and I am here with Canadian Lionel Sanders as he prepares for the ITU Long Course Triathlon World Championship here in Penticton. Lionel, how are you feeling getting ready for Sunday's race?
I'm feeling good, and I feel good to be here in Penticton, sort of a very historical place for Canadian triathlon. It was Ironman Canada for the longest time here, and I'm super stoked to be participating in a long distance race here.
Yeah, you never had a chance, I don't think, to compete here in Penticton. You have been out to Whistler, I believe.
No, never.
No, okay,
no,
so
first time to BC actually. I've been to nearly Antarctica in the very south part of Chile, but never to British Columbia. So it's a terrible. I'm glad to finally be here.
And is that part of the reason you're here versus Chattanooga? The chance to, come out to this side of the country and also to race at a world championship here in Canada?
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a piece of the puzzle, definitely. I mean, we had 70.3 Worlds 2014 was in Montauban, which was probably the last time and potentially the last time in my career a world championship would be in Canada. So I definitely wanted to sort of, participate in another one, and at least I'm at a probably more realistic point in my career to challenge for the overall title. And then, of course, I just didn't really want to go back to 70.3 Worlds. That was another piece of the puzzle, just because I had such a bad experience there last year. So it was all good. And then, of course, now that I'm doing Kona, it's the perfect distance leading into that race to sort of test where my fitness is. I've been training now I put in a solid 5 blocks leading into this of quote unquote Ironman training. And so I feel like I'm ready to cover this whole distance, and this will be a good test.
So speaking of Kona, a little under a year ago, I was talking to you. There was no way you were coming back to 2017 or going to Kona in 2017. Is it the fact that your swimming has, sort of taken that extra little leap that has changed that mindset?
Yeah, I mean, Kona last year was such a humbling and embarrassing experience, quite frankly. A month prior at 70.3 Worlds, I had the fastest run split, and then in Kona, I think I had maybe the slowest run split of the pro males, and it was just purely just lack of preparation, I think, and disrespect to the sport. And so yeah, that's the last place I wanted to find myself in October 2017. But I vowed after that race, particularly because my swim was just so poor. I came out, I pretty much swam solo, came out by myself, biked by myself. And the reality is, the way the dynamics of the races are currently with the 10-meter draft zone, if you're not in one of those, basically the front pack or the second pack, you might as well not even show up. And so I knew that, and basically I said, until you come out, with Sebastian Kienle and guys who are in that second pack, you are not allowed to go to Kona anymore. And so this year in Samarin, I proved to myself and to the world, I guess, that I can swim in that pack, and I did swim. I swam side by side with Sebastian Kienle, and so now it's just continuing to work hard so that I can at least replicate that swim that I had there.
Obviously, Samarin, I was there, and an amazing swim for you. To me, the real breakthrough was Oceanside this year. I think 2.5 minutes back, and you were basically catching Jan by 20K of the bike.
Yeah, that was definitely the first go at it, and the one piece of the puzzle you always get, both from yourself and from the critics, is it's a saltwater wetsuit legal swim, and yeah, that's true. So it's very advantageous for the weak swimmer. So Samarin was one more notch, I guess, harder because it was a freshwater wetsuit swim, and then I was able to swim in that pack again. And so now the next test will be Kona, a non-wetsuit saltwater swim. And then, of course, the hardest of all would be the non-wetsuit freshwater swim. And we'll leave that for another year or two, maybe.
You might get that on Sunday here. But
yeah, I know, really.
Probably not with the way the weather changed. So what would it mean, now that you're here, you're looking at Kona 2017, what would it mean to get the win there this year over the German juggernaut? Not just, Jan Frodeno, but Sebastian Kienle. They swept the podium last year.
Yeah, I think about this every single day, and the winning is not what motivates me. I would be much more content with the best Duke Fest you ever saw in Kona. like the Iron War Part 2 or 3. I don't know. I would be more content in participating in something like that and coming out in second than a win of, a big proportion or something. So, I mean, I went toe-to-toe with Yan at Oceanside 2015. We ran 5K side by side, and he dropped me hardcore at about 5K. And that that was a very powerful experience, and an experience that I've continued to draw strength from and motivation from for the last that was 2015, so a solid 2.5 years now, and that's what I live for. And I had one of those experiences with Sebastian Kienle in Samorin. We ran 15K side by side, and it's when you reflect back on those experiences, it's just so amazing. And to do that with all the history and that sort of thing as there is in Kona, I mean, that is what I would live for and what I dream for and what I'd love to do one day. So is it going to be this year? I have no idea, but I certainly am going with the dream of that.
I'm trying to get my head around the fact that in 2015, Yan pulled away from you, and that's bothered you for 2 years. You not winning that and still being okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, if I was wired that way, I probably would have quit triathlon a long time ago. I'm more wired in the way that I see it as a challenge and adversity and an area to improve now. And I think the only way you will reach your full potential is through others basically beating you and being better than you. And then you say, well, maybe there is a way that I can improve. Maybe there's maybe my training, I'm not doing this right, or maybe there's things I can hone this way with equipment and that sort of thing. And that's what those experiences do. And even the race a few months ago against Sebastian Kienle, I still reflected back and I learned a lot of things, because next time I don't want to run. You know what I mean? You don't want to. This is my job. You know what I mean? You'd rather win by 15 minutes. You know what I mean? But in the end, those are the races where you learn a lot and you grow as a person. And that, I think you'll reflect back with the grandkids and that sort of thing and tell them, oh, this time Sebastian and I ran 15K side by side. You know what I mean?
Obviously having that great experience in Kona would be fantastic, but I'm guessing you would not be averse to coming off the bike out in front and staying out in front the rest of the way too.
Yeah, I mean, probably unrealistic from my standpoint as a weak swimmer. That's one thing that I think I've learned and I've had to come to terms with. When I did Kona in 2015, for instance, I came out of the water about 9 minutes down from I think it was Andy Potts and Jan Frodeno. And can you imagine if I had won that race, how it would look bad on the whole sport of triathlon if some guy 9 minutes down comes and wins the race? You know what I mean? It just would show that this sport is very infant, that someone could do that. And we're just not there. It's not infant. You can't have that kind of a weakness. You have to be a solid swimmer. You have to be a good bike. And if you're not a solid swimmer, I'd say I'm probably just getting to the point where maybe you could say I'm a half-decent swimmer. Even if you're just a half-decent swimmer, you better be able to damn well ride that bike better than anyone else, and you better be able to run better than anyone else as well. And so, I mean, that's how it is. And so I'm certainly going in with the mindset of, at the very best, I come off with those guys, and you better be prepared to run sub 240, because that's what it's going to take in an Iron War Part 3 type situation. And I say Part 3 because I say Part 2 was Chris McCormack and Andreas Raylert. You mean you better be able to run, because that's what it's going to take.
I get excited just hearing you talk about all this, and I'm guessing you do as well. First things first, got to get through Sunday. What do you sort of anticipate, or kind of do you feel like this is going to be a competitive scenario as well? It seems like this is setting up for a very competitive race.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Amberger's here, who led out of the water at 70.3 Worlds last year, and who is doing the race for similar reasons to myself, and that he was very frustrated with the dynamics of the race last year. I mean, what was the point in him going off the front of the swim by a minute just to get sucked in by a 20-man draft pack and not be able to break away or do nothing from them? So he's just as angry as I am. So, I mean, he's got something to prove, too, by being here. So you got him. Andy Potts, of course, he's never poor in a race. He's always solid. Right to the finish, he's going to run hard, right to the finish. So you got him. You got Joe Gambles, who I believe has been second here. He's been a podium at 70.3 Worlds. I mean, obviously, great athlete. I mean, I'm forgetting guys. You got the defending champion. What's his name? Sylvain. Cyril Vigneault. I mean, there's a lot of great guys coming from all different angles. You've got lots of strength, lots of weakness in all three disciplines. It'll be a very interesting race, and I think it'll be a race that's going to be decided on the run, quite frankly. So I definitely have come in my best run form that I possibly can, and I've definitely come thinking that I'm going to have to suffer right till the very end.
Well, hopefully there's not too much suffering, so that you bounce back. You bounce back nice and well for Kona.
It ends, it ends at 30K, which is like right when you're doing the real deep damage on the run. So it actually is it's a great distance. I mean, it'd be nice if all three of these entities, ITU, Ironman, and Challenge, could all get their races all lined up nicely, because it would be nice to have 70.3 Worlds early, this race kind of in the middle, and then Kona at the end, because they all complement each other nicely, and not have 70.3 Worlds in a week or two. But anyways, I'm not in charge, so it doesn't matter. But I think you can go hard here and still have a great race in Kona.
We're looking forward to seeing you going hard here on Sunday. Looking forward to a great day in Kona, and I'm sure talk to you lots before then. Thanks so much. Good luck on Sunday.
Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it.
This is Lionel Sanders. I'm Kevin McKinnon. Thanks for joining us here at Triathlon Magazine Canada.